Colin. These clips here from that Valreese tournament, last state championship in November, and this was from September in the cages, obviously. All right. First of all, the biggest improvement is in how much you've been able to kind of calm down that back leg and get rid of what we talked about last time was all the excessive movement at the knee, whether it was the flexion or extension or moving the knee behind and in front of the foot and all the activity going on there. And so when you compare what you were doing before and how you were getting ready really way too soon, compare that to how your back leg is moving now, and we've got a much cleaner and more effective move at the ball. Okay, so again, we'll play that back, and I'll just focus on the back leg if you can, and notice the differences there in terms of what's going on. How much fully extending the knee there. You go from an extremely bent position to a fully extended position through there. And then here we've cut down on some of the turn. I'm going to go into that a little bit more. The force turning, all of it's not gone, but we have cut back on it. Okay, so real happy with the improvements we've made there in quieting down that back leg. So let's take a look at the move now. And what you did in almost all the swings was, I'm talking about these live swings in the tournament, was you would still kind of take a little bit of a false stride there, kind of a little bit, but you never really grounded it. It was almost still kind of dangling out there, and then you would go with your move at the ball with the back leg. And I really don't have a problem with that. I think for some people that can be a good timing mechanism. And I much prefer what you're doing now opposed to the kind of the no stride thing you were doing before, where the foot was just really turning in. So you really kind of turned in that foot, and then as you went the ball, you really turned it out hard. Okay, so what we're doing with the front foot again is much better. Okay, it stays a lot more quiet, and there's not nearly the excessive flopping open on the landing. We're opening a bit, but I would probably put that in the acceptable range. I think there's still some room for improvement on keeping it quiet, but I would still consider that acceptable. So, I think that can be fine. Kind of doing a little false stride and kind of keeping it quiet the way you're loading now. And again, we're not flying open with that front foot like we were before. Again, I think the mindset you really need to have with regard to your stride is let the back leg control it. And that's really how I try to go about teaching it. Is simply get the back leg ready before the release of the pitch, and then your first move at the ball is that lateral sideways unloading. So in other words, again, that back leg, just get the back leg ready. That pulls up the front foot, and when you unload into the ball, it puts down the front foot. Okay. So Colin, the more you can kind of get just the back leg mindset of get it ready, and then attack. That back attack move of letting the back leg control the front foot, the better off we're going to be. But we are getting a more productive unloading. There's no question about that. There's certainly more drive coming from the back leg now. The foot is not turning over as fast. We've still got some work to do, but it's not turning over as fast. Because of the better drive from the front side, we're able to set up with some better tilt going into the front side. The foot is staying more square, and we're keeping this knee behind the foot better. You can see here, in this one, the knee was almost right on top of the foot here, whereas now we've got a much better angle here where knee is behind foot. We really want to feel like we keep that front knee behind that front foot. And again, that's gonna work its way up and give us this better tilt with the upper body, and allow us to kind of hit behind that, or at least set up the process to really hit behind that strong front side. Okay, so way better on the footwork, much better use out of the back leg. Got rid of all that extra, flexion extension out of the back knee, and got rid of a lot of the excess, turning in of the foot there, as we're going going into the stride completion. Okay, but again, the real theory is here. When you're working on your stride, just make it about the back leg. Ideally, you see the way Adrian lands, that foot lands square, the knee is bent. So generally speaking, you start with that foot bent and square, and you land with it bent and square. Just let the back leg pull up and put it down. All right, so some major improvements there. We're on our way, to getting a much more productive, efficient lower half. Let's take a look at maybe some areas for improvement and kind of what we need to keep working on. I do still feel like there's some forced turn by the backside. You can see here, and again, contact on these swings at the same time. You can see here, although it's not nearly as bad as this, we have, we're significantly turned farther than where Adrian is. Okay, so I think there is a little bit of a rush to kind of turn that back foot over instead of just really driving with it. Maybe the thought of keeping this front half of the foot grounded longer. You can see that kind of sideways pressing action there, where the foot stays grounded a little longer, can help. And we want to allow that foot to turn over, but we don't want to force it to turn over. And I still think we're getting some force. We're getting some forward movement, which is a lot of times is evidence. Improved over where we were here. Okay, where we're getting nothing. But you can see Adrian gain a little bit more ground there. There's a little bit more of a leveraged driving action there. Okay, so, and again, I think this forced turn is forcing the upper to turn a little soon too. And at contact, we're kind of in still a little bit of an over rotated position. And again, with that torso, we really want to feel like our shoulders tilt, not turn. Of course, the shoulders do turn; they do rotate, but we want to feel like we brace up and they tilt. We don't want to feel like our shoulders are spinning through contact. Okay. So, anytime we don't get quite enough out of our legs, okay, the upper body is going to compensate and start to try to do too much, and it tries to do it too soon. Okay, and because we're not getting quite the drive out of the back leg that we could get, and again, you don't want to make this too big, but it's got to be a little bit more effective. There's a fine line between it. You're trying too hard to do it and just make it a little bit more effective, more efficient. So we need to have a little bit more out of this backside. And again, the muscles you're using here, Collin, they're right here at the side of your hip. Okay, these muscles here, and use those muscles to press sideways. So we need to get more out of those muscles pressing sideways, and that would lessen the demand that we're placing on the upper body and the arms to bring the bat around. Okay, it's a combination of forcing this foot to turn, which reduces the effectiveness, which then causes the upper body to try to make up for that. So they kind of work together to create too much turning, too much spinning.